Hello, I'm Peter Glock. Welcome to A Week in Cyber. We're going to go very quickly through what's been happening over the past 7 to 10 days in the world of cyber risk management and cyber security. So, are you ready to begin? Let's go. First thing, let's look at what's been happening in the world of law and regulation. Now, in the European Union, there's been two things that have happened over the past 10 days. The first was the publication of the Digital Single Market documentation. Now, this has been going on for some time. I think this is the EU's third go-round at trying to establish a level playing field for the provision of digital services across Europe. The current document was published, I think it was on Monday, or may even be late last week. If you can find it, in fact there's a link to it from my website, go and read the publication. It's not particularly long and it will give you some idea of what the European Union Commission is actually trying to achieve in setting a level playing field. Second thing I want to talk to you about is the Network and Information Security Directive, or NIS. Now, you may have heard, if you've listened to any of these other briefings, about the General Data Protection Regulations, which are aimed mostly at protecting your data as a personally identifiable individual. The NIS is much more about the obligations on digital service providers. And that sounds like it might be something for telecoms companies, but it isn't. Anyone who provides goods and services over the internet is a digital service provider. So the NIS will be affecting most businesses, and it's time to talk to your legal counsel or come and talk to us at Brown Glock and find out more about NIS and how it could affect your business. So moving on then, let's look at what's been happening in the world of cybersecurity. In fact, there's been so much happening since about 1 billion passwords were disclosed that kind of overshadowed everything else. I'm going to run through the other things first though. So the first one you may have heard about was the Bangladesh bank heist some months ago now. There have been additional attacks on the SWIFT infrastructure. That's the Society for Worldwide International Financial Telecommunications, if I remember correctly. And they're the ones who actually set up all of the interbank transfer mechanisms. The CEO of SWIFT came back and said they're going to take a very big look at security, and they've got 5 things they're going to look at instantly, which is great news. Second thing, and this is for the upcoming G7 summit in Tokyo. It was found that the Wi-Fi infrastructure in the hotel the summit's going to be going on at has been hacked and compromised. Now, this wasn't found by a security research company. It was actually found by one of the newspapers. So it's a bit worrying that it hadn't actually been found and dealt with before the event goes ahead. So let's see if there's anything else comes out of that particular summit. Third thing, for those with a long memory, you may have remembered the advice never to allow a Microsoft Office macro to run on your PC. And that seemed to die a few years ago, and people have been running macros from some spreadsheets and things they've been sent. Well, there's another round of nasties that are using Office macros to infect your machine. So go back to the previous advice, which is turn macros off, and only if you really, really trust the document, allow a macro to run. Then there's been a lot in the general press and the specialist information security press about ransomware. There was some good news actually recently that one of the ransomware tools, the makers of it are shutting down, have released the decryption keys, which means that we can get back from that one. However, there's a lot more out there. Usual advice applies about A, don't get infected in the first place, and B, if you do get ransomware, talk to the legal authorities before paying anyone. And then the last, and I said I was going to talk about this, passwords. Passwords, especially with the release of about 1 billion credentials recently, passwords are in the news. My single piece of advice on passwords is don't use just passwords. Turn on two-step verification or two-factor authentication if you can. And there are links to various resources on our website where you can actually go and find out how to do that for the popular applications. Right, one other thing I wanted to talk about was a discussion on Quora, which is a question and answer forum that came up in the past week. And the question was, how much would it cost to buy the resources to run a distributed denial of service attack? And the answer, and I'll cut to the answer was somewhere between around $25. So if you really wanted to take someone else down, you can hire a botnet out there already set up, ready to go. Give it the target, $25, they are taken down. Now, that's such a low price that you will see many, many more denial of service attacks going on, probably as part of some other campaign to infect or attack a particular company. That's the end of the show. Thank you for listening. Go back to our website to find out more. Thank you. Bye-bye.